Okay, everybody, I'm back, and just as I promised you now, this is my second episode of Martin Talkz, in which, for today's film that I'm going to review, I know I don't have this on VHS nor DVD, but I have heard of this film before, and I know my mom loves seeing this film, because I think I've seen big parts of it too, and this is a good movie, and I do have even though I don't have any releases of it, I do have the film's soundtrack, and that film is none other than Sister Act, which stars Whoopi Goldberg as Dolores Van Cartier, and also has Maggie Smith as the Mother Superior, as long as Harvey Keitel as Vince, and it also has Kathy Najimy. He playing the youngest of the sisters in the convent, and of course, the late Mary Wicks. She plays Sister Mary Lazarus. Well, one of the sisters. But anyways, I do have the original soundtrack. It's really my mom's, but I'm just gonna. I've never shown you this for the first time. See, this was released by Touchstone Pictures, and it came out in the theaters about on the same day as the Flicker 98's birthday, which also was released 10 days after my third birthday, as the film was released May 29th, 1992. And as you see, this is the CD, and it has all these tracks on there, including the Lounge Medley, the opening, which is kind of like Motown. But anyways, I'm going to explain what the film is. Because as you know, Dolores Van Cartier is a Reno lounge singer. Of course, before the film's credits, you hear a young Dolores be in Catholic school, and when one of the nuns asks her who could name all the apostles, Dolores briefly ends up saying the names of the Beatles by saying John, Paul, George, and Ringo! And then it's even more funnier when she tries to write them on the board, but this time she writes John, Paul, Peter, and Elvis. Though Elvis is not an apostle, and we know Paul wasn't an apostle, even though he was relevant in the Bible, but John and Peter were. But anyways, when it gets to the lounge, we know Dolores, she starts singing a lounge medley with two of the groups called the Rundels, which includes the songs Love is Like a Heat Wave, which was originally done by Martha and the Vandellas. Also have My Guy, which was originally a Billboard #1 hit for Mary Wells in 1964, and then of course I Will Follow Him, which was also a Billboard #1 hit for Little Peggy March back in 1963. But then after that, you know, Dolores soon gets in trouble, and she needs help from the police, and the police decide that she should hide in a convent so she can get away from Vince. When she hides in the convent, that's when she becomes a nun, and she becomes a nun by becoming the name of Sister Mary Clarence, and she starts to make friends with the other nuns. But of course, the Mother Superior first says to them when they try to convince, she says, "We nuns ought to spend the rest of the day in silence. Silence begins now." And of course, it's still good. But of course, then after that, after the friends, then at some Sunday church services, says Dolores, she hears the choir, which all the nuns are part of a choir, and they sing an extremely horrible and lackluster version of a song called Hail Holy Queen, which it was pretty bad with Mary Lazarus directing the choir. And because of that, they needed something to improve. And then at one session, Maggie, the Mother Superior, then tells Dolores to join the choir. Well, she tries to sing, but they are lackluster. But as I said, the choir is lackluster, and she decides that in order to improve them better, she decides, instead of singing with the choir, Mary Lazarus somehow no longer becomes the choir director, because then Dolores then takes over as the director, and she tells the ideas of telling them, you gotta sing with feeling, and then she starts to do it, and then they start singing a lot better, and then they sing, and then at the next service, they sing Hail Holy Queen again, but this time it's a much better version, and it turns into and with Dolores' singing, it turns into a big up-tempo gospel number, making it as heard on the soundtrack, which is pretty good. Of course, the Mother Superior isn't happy about it, but Dolores likes it a lot, and then Dolores then later teaches them more songs, including some revised version of My Guy titled My Guy, My God, which is fun, but of course, and then after that, the Reverend, the church's Reverend, who is Evan, he liked it so much that he then later says that the Pope would be coming over to the convent, and he announces, and the Reverend announces that the church would be holding a special concert for him Sunday night, which Dolores and the nuns do prepare for that. But then, of course, Vince later finds Dolores, and she later, Vince's henchmen later find Dolores, and she gets kidnapped. But then, with all the problems, they decide that of course, the nuns later learn that Dolores wasn't really a nun, but because only the Mother Superior knew about that. But then she tells them. But then after that, they decide to go out and save Dolores, and they find her at the Moonlight Lounge, which was the same lounge that Dolores sang the medley in at the beginning of the film, and and then after that, the nuns later find Dolores safely, and then they're lured into some room, and then Vince and his henchmen come in, but before Vince can shoot at Dolores, the police come in and step in, and they arrest Vince, and of course Whoopi has only 2 more words to say, in which she says the words, "Bless you," in which everything is safe, and then they go back to the church. The church is known as St. Catherine's, and they perform their concert, which sings into a more up-tempo version of "I Will Follow Him," which the Pope even likes, and that's a good way to end the film, because then she later appears on the cover of People magazine. He has the credits roll in, and the credits has Dolores, the Ronells, and the sisters all singing an up-tempo version of the Isley Brothers' hit "Shout." Well, they're singing part 1 of that song, because "Shout" was in 2 parts. But of course, then after that, it's a pretty good film, and we know Sister Act later had a sequel called Sister Act 2: Back in the Habit, but I know I've never seen Sister Act 2, but I know the first Sister Act is extremely funny, and I think if you're a big Whoopi Goldberg fan, I highly recommend you go out and get Sister Act. I think it's one of the best movies that Whoopi Goldberg has ever been in, and it's extremely funny, and Whoopi's extremely funny in this too. So I know you'll love Sister Act. So for a rating, I'll give it a very good score. I think I give it a perfect 10, because it's a very funny comedy, and Sister Act, you can't go wrong, and I also still recommend getting the soundtrack too if you don't have it as of yet, because it is so fun. So Sister Act, there you go. Well, that wraps it up for episode 2 of Martin Talks. I hope y'all enjoyed it. For my next episode of Martin Talks, I will review my very first Disney animated movie classic. I don't know I'm not going to say what it will be just yet, but in the meantime, I will review it once episode 3 has been posted. But in the meantime, for my next video, I will be showing you all my Toy Story collection. So until then, have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next time.